Hey guys, it's CJ,
And it's Nick.
and we're back for like a special edition superhero team up review. We did this for Daredevil season 1. We did it for Jessica Jones season 1, and now we're of course back for Daredevil season 2. And I'm tired out of my mind. I know you must be even more tired because you actually have stayed up pretty much up until this point. But I got at least 2 hours of sleep. Like I slept from like 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. Got up and started watching, but you just kind of powered through.
Yeah, I right after I finished at I don't know, 8 or 9 or something. I just fell asleep and I only got like an hour and a half, and then I got back up. And I'm still, for some reason, I've been like wide awake though.
For me, I really didn't have any problems like staying awake while I was watching because it's Daredevil and it's back. And honestly, I kind of liked this season a little more than the season 1, but we'll get into the specifics of that. Any kind of brush by first thoughts?
I prefer season 1's overall story, but I really enjoyed a lot of aspects of this season.
There were really a lot of cool things. It kind of feels like, I don't really know like a great way to describe it. Like in the way, like season 1 was like a very contained kind of story. Like it was just a story about a guy battling in Hell's Kitchen, and season 2 got a lot bigger. And I feel like that's where like a lot of movies, like when movies have sequels, like, you know, sequels tend to like open up and they can get too big and like kind of things can get out of hand. I feel like this season got really big, but it didn't ever. There were some times where I thought that the pacing kind of got away from them, especially in the middle of this season. But they recovered, and I think they finished strong. So overall, I think they did a good job for the stuff they did. What's something that you want to talk about first? What most impressed you with this season of the show?
Well, I just have to say that John Bernthal's Punisher is my favorite part of the whole season, and
Absolutely.
it makes me want the show, like his own show now.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, to see where they go after this season, because I can see a potential Daredevil season 3. I can see them not even doing a season 3 and then waiting until Defenders. I can see them kind of continuing Punisher's like story and his own thing, especially with the teaser at the end. But I gotta agree with you. I really think he just nailed that role. I think easily the best on-screen Punisher we've ever seen. I kind of like how they it's not like a straight like rip from the page origin. It kind of keeps the structure of it, like his wife and child were murdered by gangsters, and so he, although they kind of tweaked that a little bit too. But I think it's something that fans of the character, like unless they're feeling like really picky about like how he got his start in the comic books, I think they'll enjoy it, just because he literally just is the Punisher to me.
Yeah.
At this point.
His family wasn't killed by the Shatari in the Battle of New York,
no,
or anything
they weren't.
dumb
they
like
weren't.
that.
I never heard that theory, and I'm really glad, because it definitely was not that. And another thing that really impressed me was, I think the writing overall got much, much better this season, especially for some of the scenes, like the big. I think we talked about this, and I didn't watch our review of last season. I probably should have. But one of the things that on further rewatching of season 1 kind of really still bothered me was some of the dialogue at times, especially between like Foggy and Matt, and of course how Foggy really kind of got over pretty quickly, like how angry he was at Matt. And this season fixed that, because he's definitely not over his anger at Matt for the whole Daredevil thing. But a lot of the writing in scenes, and Foggy really got to shine. Foggy had some great moments in this season.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He nailed the People versus Frank Castle.
That was an entertaining portion
Absolutely.
of the show, like that whole trial.
And that's the thing, is even though like maybe now we can transition to some things that kind of, well, first off, Charlie Cox still awesome as Daredevil. Scott Glenn still awesome as Stick. And I think
Deborah
Ann Woll, so good in a lot of parts of the show. Kind of had her own very interesting little arc throughout. Very like drastic different change for her character from the comics. But in things that kind of like maybe fell flat a little bit. And I'll caveat this by saying that while there are some parts of the show that I definitely fell a little flat, especially in like the middle of the season, like I mentioned, every episode still was good because there were good parts about it, in my opinion. Like, that middle of the series that I'm talking about is the People versus Frank Castle, and it's kind of the lead up, and then the actual court case, and then the fallout from the court case. And even within, I think, maybe like comparatively the worst episodes of the season, And I say worst as in like compared to the rest of the fairly incredible episodes. I think I wouldn't give an episode like a score lower than maybe like a 7.5 or an 8. There were still like silver linings, I would say, and especially like the courtroom drama aspect of it was really, really interesting.
Yeah, to me, like in terms of the low points of the season, I don't know. For me, like Electra's character was handled weird, kind of. I thought the actress did a pretty fine job with like the material, but just like I don't know. It's just like it was a different character than the comics version. Like she wasn't just like this cold-blooded killer. Like I don't know. It's weird.
She's definitely, and it's really interesting because I don't think in the comics she's that kind of cold-blooded killer. In the show, she definitely is like. It's really very kind of strange and out of nowhere. Like I was not expecting that from this version of Electra at all. And I think that's my biggest issue. And I think part of it is because when she shows up in the show, because she shows up, and I'm not going to spoil, like, cause she shows up in a pretty cool scene in episode 4. And then I think, unfortunately, she was maybe the victim of some of the pacing issues in the middle of the show, and some of her character and her arc with Matt, and they're kind of like where their arcs intertwine is a little wonky, because you get some episodes where it's like, let's give us a chance, and it's like, really, and then it's like, it feels like it's like the let's give us a chance part only happens so that Karen Page can get pissed because her and Matt kind of have a thing going on, and then it's like, I hate you, Matt, and then they kind of diverge.
Yeah, the love triangle stuff.
And then literally, the love triangle exists for all of like 10 minutes in the show because it's like Karen's angry because Electra's back, and Matt's like, let's give us a shot, and then it's like Electra kills somebody, and Matt's like, not cool, and that's basically it. I think that was and even like I was sitting there, my roommate was lucky enough, like not lucky enough, but I was lucky enough that he decided to watch it with me, and even he was like, that was quick. Like,
he was lucky to watch it with you.
He was lucky to watch it with me. It was an incredible experience, if I do say so myself. But he literally, he was like, that was a really, really quick turnaround there for them to go from like we're gonna give us a shot and we'll get away from all this to it's like, oh my god, you're a killer and I can't be with you. Leave, please. But that's really like, other than the pacing, like kind of in the middle of the season, and kind of, I agree with you the way Electra's character was handled. Those are my two big gripes, I would say. But even then, it's like Electra was actually pretty cool, and I like how they tied her character in with the hand that existed previously in the show. I think the idea of her, I'm not going to spoil what she was, but the idea of her being what she was really, really cool.
Yeah, and also Madame Gao comes back for like a little episode. I think it was like towards the end, like episode 10
11
or
12, something like that. It was, it's all a blur, but it was kind of cool. That was one of my favorite things about this season, was how they handled the cameos, both from Madame Gao coming back, Kingpin in an extended cameo over the course. He had played a pretty big role over the course of a couple episodes.
Yeah, that was actually like one of my favorite of the season. Like the whole, I think it was episode 9 where like it was all like his time in prison. Like it was showing you like what happened to him. That was really cool.
And he's going into jail has not slowed him down. That's the only thing I'll say about that. People just the other big thing for me. Actually, let's kind of round out the discussion with where do you think they're going to go? Do you think it's going to go to a season 3? I think the hype alone will probably almost ensure a season 3 if they want to go in that direction. Or do you think they're just going to lead straight into Defenders, or maybe kind of have the spin-off Punisher series? If you had to pick 2 out of 3, what would you say?
I kind of hope that they don't do a Daredevil season 3 and just like let it rest, because I feel bad for the other characters. Like it feels like they just keep greenlighting Daredevil season. I know people love it and it's great and stuff, and I want to see more, but it's like I kind of want to see the other characters now, like at their show.
And that's kind of like the one thing is like now I didn't even really know. I knew that I would want a Punisher series after seeing this, but I didn't really know that I was going to want it this badly. I really do want Punisher to get his own series. I'm excited for Luke Cage. I'm kind of with you. It may sound hypocritical to come out and say I love this show as much as I did. I love this season as much as I did. I don't want another one. But that's mainly for my own personal like forecasting reasons. I really think they're just going to lead like right into Shadowland. Like straight out of this season, they'll get Luke Cage out there and Iron Fist out there and Jessica Jones season 2, and then bam, Shadowland is the Defenders storyline. But maybe with Electra as the beast possessed, or the demon possessed person instead of Daredevil.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see what they do about that. And I do hope Punisher gets his own solo series, as I'm sure most people listening do. So Nick, what would you give it?
I think for me, I've like thought about this for a while. I think for the first season I gave it a 10 out of 10. Like I was so off hype on that one.
Yeah.
But for this one, I really thought about it. I'm gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed a lot of it, but there were just some things that kind of held it back.
Yeah.
But it's still great. Yeah,
I think I'm gonna give it a solid 9 because I think we both were like guns blazing last time and we're like 10 out of 10. But because we had never seen something like that before. Really, that was the first Netflix outing, and that really, like, I think all of us were like absolutely shocked by the quality of it. And you know, now we kind of have come to accept it a little more. We've kind of not like cooled on it, but we've come to understand, I guess. You know, I'll stick with it like a 9. I think I liked it a lot. I still think it's probably, in my opinion, the best thing in the MCU, and I say that as a huge fan of the MCU. I think objectively the quality in this is, without a doubt, like the best product that the MCU is putting out right now. So, any final thoughts?
Like I said, I just want to see more Punisher.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
Punisher is awesome.
Worth noting, John Bernthal is a huge Redskins fan, so that man is like, he has endeared himself to me greatly. So, without further ado, in the comments section below, let us know what you thought of Daredevil Season 2, what you think is going to happen after Season 2. We tried to keep it as spoiler-free for you guys as possible. Maybe a couple of things that people might take offense to, but I think that wraps it up here from us, Nick.
They're going to be like in the comments, you ruined it. I'll never be able to watch Daredevil again.
You spoiled it. It's terrible. Oh, my God. It's like... I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how people feel. Be gentle. Signing off. This is CJ.
And this is Nick.
And we'll see you next March for Season 3, I guess.
No, Luke Cage.
Luke Cage. Absolutely. We got Luke Cage. We got hopefully Jessica Jones Season 2 sometime this year. At this point, I'm